Hello and welcome to Cheshire Audio. Now, this is another Tweekery video, which has been getting some interesting sort of comments via email. Not positive, really, surprisingly. I thought it'd outrage people, but I was getting emails from people. It's been quite good, really. A while ago, I did a sort of series of videos on how to set up speakers, or the best way to set your speakers, or the easiest way to sort of get a good sound from. Because setup of speakers is really important, and how they interact with the room and all that sort of thing. I only sort of vaguely talked about getting them rigid and all that, what's entailed in that, really. I mean, normally the situation is what you want a speaker to be is as rigid as possible, like these neats on these solid steel stands. They're really, really tight onto the floor. The spikes are sort of adjusted. Actually, not adjusted on this is the 3-point mount, but 4-point mount, everything adjusted, nothing rocks, nothing moves contrary to the vibration of the speaker, because if obviously the speaker's working by a cone moving, what you don't want is the whole structure to be moving against that, because it'll cancel out certain frequencies, it'll amplify certain frequencies. So the idea of spiking the speakers to the floor, so with floor standers or on stands or whatever, is that resonance is directed into the mass of the floor. Interestingly, though, if you think about it, I mean, you might have seen, again, my videos on record players. In hi-fi, you don't really want electrical components or any sort of component within the system, mechanical, whatever, attached to a high mass. Generally, it's not a good thing. So record players, you don't really want to put them on a heavy cabinet or anything like that, because that stores energy, and the energy, obviously the system is creating vibrational energy in the room. The big heavy component will pick that up, and if your record player's sitting on it, it's coming back into the record player milliseconds after it's been produced. So you're getting a sort of a clouding of the effect. The big question is whether is that the same with speakers? Because if you're using spikes and you're attaching the speaker directly into the mass of the floor, is that a good thing or a bad thing? On the face of it, it seems to be a good thing, because if you do spend the time and adjust your spikes and get everything really firm so nothing's moving around, speakers will sound better. It's in every situation, they always sound better. If you want to sort of think outside the box, and I don't know how many of you'll have heard of Max Townsend, the sadly departed Max Townsend. We've sort of lost him last year, I think now. A bit of a character. No, a lot of a character. Great bloke, very, very inventive. He's done some fantastic products over the years, including, I don't know if you can see it, Elite Rock turntable just behind me in there. Yeah, thinking outside the box. If you don't want the mass of the floor to interact with your speakers, well, wouldn't it be better to isolate it from the mass? So then the way to do that perhaps would be to control that resonance. Instead of saying, let's try and direct it away, let's just control it. Let's just keep it within certain boundaries. And this is what I'm going to talk about today. And there's a product called the Townsend Bars. There's Townsend Podium, and there's a Townsend Seismic Bar. And they're both kind of the same product, but I'll explain the differences shortly. But today I'm actually going to show you show you the effects of the Seismic Bars. And just a quick demonstration of that is the Kudos C20 on the end here is mounted on the bars, and if I give it a little push, it's you can be quite rough with it. 3 Hertz resonance. It's a controlled 3 Hertz resonance, and that's quite interesting, because what that creates is a speaker which obviously is creating its own resonances. It's not doing anything under 3 Hertz. So it's not really transmitting anything into the floor. Any sort of movement within the structure there is kind of rigid. It's not as rigid as this, but it's pretty rigid. But there's, like I said, there's nothing at the lower. The actual resonance within the structure is directed to 3 Hertz. That's where it is. If there's any vibration from the cone in the air setting off the mass of the floor, that's then not coming back up to the speaker because it's isolated. seems a bit mad, really. That doesn't sort of, it's kind of counterintuitive of years of getting the speakers really solid. But it really works. And particularly in this demonstration room, when I bought the building here, I bought it because the big demonstration room was the perfect size and whatever. The drawback is it's upstairs. And when I was setting up the shop, I got sort of getting quite excited, and I'll be able, let's get a system on in that big demonstration room. It's going to be fantastic. And it was dreadful. It was really bad. There was pretty much no bass in here. So just in panic, really, I ordered some bars because I'd dealt with them in the past and I knew they were really effective. I thought, I'll mount things on bars. Try mounting the speakers in the bars in the demonstration room. Hopefully that'll do something. And it completely cured it. And it was to do, basically the resonance of the floor was sort of in the sort of upper and lower bass end. There's quite a big thrum. If you bang on the floor here, there's quite a big sort of boom noise, a big boom. And the speakers were almost sort of having the bass sucked out of them by this resonance within the floor. It sounded great downstairs, sounded great in the corridor, but within the room, it was really bright and aggressive. But the bars have cured it. It's really, in one go, it's cured it. After this, I had a customer who had a system in his loft, and it sounded great. But he had a young daughter, and his wife kept saying, because I used to go up there and we'd go, be there 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, listening to music. And after his daughter went to bed, he couldn't turn the music up anymore because it was transmitting, even though it was up the other end of the house, it could still be heard. Took some of the bars around. He can now turn it up as loud as he wants, and his daughter's not disturbed by it. They're really effective, and it's quite strange, the extent of it. Totally unexpected. So what I'm going to do is I'll take this speaker off, and I'll show you what the bars look like and how they work. I'll have to post up a picture of the Podium. The Podium is different in that it's basically a platform, but uses the same principle. The bars are the cheap alternative, a bit quirky to use, and I'll show you why. But yeah, I'll disassemble and I'll show you the bars. Yeah, okay, so here's the Seismic Bars. Adjustable for width, so you can put pretty much any sort of width of speaker. There's a range of weights they will take, so you almost need to specify the weight that you go for. You can sort of see on the design there, there's a contained spring there, which are called seismic load cells, which he uses he's using all sorts of other products. There's the seismic sink, which was the platform, various other bits he uses that system in, including the Podiums. The Podium's slightly different, it's more of an enclosed spring than that. So yeah, like I say, there's various weights. You tend to go for a heavier weight than your speakers are, so it gives you a bit of leeway. Setting up can be a bit tricky because you have to sort of try and get the speaker. I'll move across to the other speaker. You have to try and centralise it. Actually getting things level and getting things true is a bit fiddly. You have to sort of move things around a little bit. But overall, I mean, I've sort of got it off to a bit of an art now, and I don't find it as particularly that difficult to set up. If I give it a rock, you can sort of see how it's working. Yeah, like I'd say, about pretty much 3 hertz rock there. They just sit flat on the carpet. They're not spiked to the carpet. Never quite. Whether or not that's would be a benefit or not, I don't know. I'm assuming not, because like I say, with Max, these things will have been thought through. I don't whether or not you've ever seen Max at shows. I'll try and find a picture of him actually. He used to. Actually, move this around. Yeah, Max used to do a demonstration, and he had a sort of seismograph type device on an iPad on top of the speaker, and he would kick the floor next to the speaker with and without the platforms, and it was major reaction without and no reaction whatsoever with. It's a really convincing demonstration, really. They're not cheap. I mean, this is the thing, like all these types of products, it's not cheap. I mean, the bars are half the price of the Podiums. The Podiums are the price of a decent pair of stand-mount floor standing speakers. They're, like I said, they're a pretty pricey thing, but in the context of some higher end kit, then they really do pay dividends. They do work really, really well. I tend to sell more of the bars because it's a more sort of budget alternative in a way. They're just more fiddly to set. The podiums, you can just slap the speakers on, it'll work. You just level up with the little adjusters on a podium. The bars are a little bit more hit and miss. You'll find yourself moving things around. But once it's set, it's set. There's no more to it than that, really. So that's it. Yeah, that's the Seismic Bars. If you're any interested in these, just give me a call. Like I say, I don't really look at comments now. The comments for, which one was it? The one where the video I did where it was albums I can't listen to anymore. There was, within a few days of that, there was 300 comments on that. And after about 4 or 5, I kind of run out of time because I spend so long answering these things. So I've sort of made a sort of blanket decision now that I'm not looking at comments anymore. I'm just going to, for various reasons, as I've explained. So if you want to know more about the bars, just give me an email at the email which will be at the end of the video. That's it, I think. That's it. Yeah. I'll see you in a future video. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a like. Thank you very much.